Hello, and thanks for joining me for card 3 in my Christmas card series. And happy holidays to you and yours. I'm using a digital image here from CC Designs. This is the Mashi Muffins image, and this is Tangled Tori. And I printed her out on some Copic, the Express Copic paper, using my Canon inkjet printer. And I've never had any problems with that, so I do like using it for printing out my digital images. Nice and smooth and no smudging. I'm just using E000, E00, and E02 for her skin, and R20 for her cheeks. I was going with a little more pink on her cheeks because I wanted it to look like she was having a hard time getting the lights to hang on the tree and stuff like that. I mean, that's what this image kind of screams at me, is, you know, that she's fighting with her Christmas tree and getting the lights on there, and the fact that she's dressed like she's, you know, going to a party or having a party. It's, you know, like last minute, I have to get these lights on sort of thing. So and I think the cheeks, you know, they came out much nicer than they look in here, but they do turn out really nice. So it gives her just a little bit pinker, as if she was wearing the makeup, and then the natural pink that, you know, your cheeks get when you start to get overwhelmed or warm, flustered, you know, that sort of thing. So I'm just putting in the shading and coloring her up. And I printed this off and stared at it for several minutes before I realized where her skin was on her arms, because the way the lights hang, it almost looks like she had sleeves, but I didn't have a colored image to go off of. So if I didn't color this right, please let me know, so the next time I color it, I know that I'm coloring it correctly and that I didn't just color the sleeves of her dress the color of her skin. I'm now using B00 and B02 for her eyes. Just a little bit of the B02 around the top and the bottom of it, just to give it just a little bit more. I'm using E35, E37, and E39 for her hair. I did have a little bit of a problem getting her hair to go the way I wanted, but in the end it turned out fantastic. I love the color of her hair. I don't even so much care that you can't really see any like hair streaks. I tried to put some in, and I try here at the end to put in what, you know, like a little bit of a highlight, but it just didn't quite work. But I still like the way her hair turned out. And for her dress, I don't color it. I wanted to keep it white. In my last card, I did a lot of red, and I couldn't think of anything other than paper piercing, and it's extremely hard to paper pierce when you're printing off of a printer, because all the patterns that I liked, there was no way I was going to be able to line the image up just right on them. So I am hoping someday to find the rubber stamp images, rubber stamp version of these images. But I didn't want, like I said, I didn't want to use a ton of red, so I do end up leaving her dress white, and I think it looks pretty good. And here you can see that I tried to do those streaks, but they just didn't quite work out. So I'm just kind of going over it, and I like to take my lightest shade and really go over everything, because it does lighten everything up just a little bit. Now I'm taking my C1 and C3 for her hair tie and the little fringe bracelet things, as well as all the little ruffly parts of her dress. I was going for a silver theme, and these were the colors that I came up with that got me the closest to silver, but it still, to me, just looked a little bit too gray. So I take my Wink of Stella silver glitter pen and go over it, and that helped a lot. Because you still get the color, the Copic markers, but then you get just a little bit of silver and glitter from the pen that help. Now I'm using N4, N6, and N8 for her shoes. I didn't want to go super dark, but I didn't, again, want them to look really gray either. So I put quite a bit of the darker grays on there, but then just a little bit of the lighter gray at the top to really make it you know, like the light was shining on her boots and then down. And then I used some RV, excuse me a second, I can't remember which one I used. RV21 for her lips. And then I just go over the little light bulbs here with Y13, G19, R29, I believe, and, oh, excuse me, no, R35, and that's it. Yes. Oh, and B02. That's the third color I'm missing. There we go. For the light bulbs, just fun Christmassy colors, something to kind of brighten up her image a little bit since there is so much white on there. And then I just kept it the same pattern. I thought about going random, but again, I didn't want a whole lot of one color. And then here's the silver glitter pen that I'm using. And it's hard to see here, and it's even a little bit hard to see in the card, but it really does end up turning it into a more silver than just gray. And instead of coloring the whole thing in, I actually just kind of flicked it in, which also helped give it just a little bit more movement. I then take my clear and go over the edge of her eyes, just to give her eyes a little bit of sparkle, and then over each of the light bulbs, as well as just a little bit on her boots, just towards the top. I didn't want to do the silver on them, but I wanted just a little bit of shimmer on her boots to kind of tie the whole thing in. And then I forgot her belt completely, so I just went over it with the silver glitter pen, which worked out great. And now I'm just fussy cutting it out. And I apologize, I am off camera here quite a bit during this, but getting around those light bulbs, I wanted to get as even of a border as I could. So I wanted to make sure not to cut them off. Like I said, I love this image. I think she's just so much fun. But after cutting this out, I realized that she's not exactly the easiest one to cut out. At least not without losing all of the extra lights. So I am going to have to rethink it next time I use this image. But I think she's just so much fun. And the second I saw her, I knew exactly what card I was going to make. And this card turned out exactly as I had envisioned it in my head, which hardly ever happens. Most of my cards, they do turn out fantastic. But I have found that if I don't start off with a sketch, they don't always work out. And this one, even though I sketched it out, the sketch turned out the way I thought, but then the card itself turned out exactly how I envisioned it. So that was just, I was impressed. I could not stop staring at the card after I made it, at how well it actually turned out. All my other cards come out pretty close to the sketch, or at least what I had in my head, but this one turned out exactly. It was so much fun. So much fun. So I'm just finishing cutting her out. I tried to leave as even of a border as I could, but it was really hard around those light bulbs. I was afraid I'd cut them off. But it turned out really cute, I think. Usually I do cut off all the extra paper. I was going and I didn't want to stop and mess something up. And then I left the white around her, just to give her a little extra support, especially around the light bulbs. But I did go in with my C1 to give her just a little bit of shading so her dress would stand out more, but then it wouldn't, be so bad. This tree, excuse me, I cut out with my Grand Caliber using the Spellbinders Holiday Tree 2010 die, and this is the biggest one on here. The images kind of do overwhelm the card a little bit, but I couldn't cut her down any smaller without losing I couldn't shrink her down any smaller without losing the light bulbs. And then the smaller tree just didn't look right on the card next to her. Now I'm just using some foam dots to pop her up. I do go in with my Martha Stewart pin to glue down the loose light bulbs, just so that they're grounded, they don't snag on anything, but then to kind of make it look more like they've laid flat on the ground and that she's actually holding some up. And thankfully with my pin it didn't. For some reason my pin broke and I'm not sure why. It just started leaking glue, but that was after all of this. The next images that you see, all the ornaments on the tree, I had colored and cut out previously. The bows are from, excuse me, I have it written all down because I didn't have any exact Christmas ornaments. So the bows are from, the bows are from, Parum Pum Pum Pump, Lawn Fawn stamp set, along with the big candy cane. And the small candy cane is from Swanky Snow Dudes, which is a Paper Smooches. And the holly that you'll see is also from Paper Smooches, and it's the Mary Moffat set. The actual ornaments are washi tape that I'd stuck on a piece of paper and then hand cut them out. I like the candy cane and the bows, but I think it just needed a little bit of actual ornament themselves. So I did try to put some of my clear Wink of Stella on the ornaments, but the washi tape wouldn't hold. So I just did it on the bows and the candy cane. And then I left one loose and went to go add it on and realized that it had quite a bit. And I think the tree turned out really cute. So that was the cover of the card. And now, and this is the sentiment. It's Amy R's sentiment from Jolly Greetings. Excuse me. I have all this written down and I just seem to be having a hard time remembering. I just stamped it out with Memento Tuxedo Black onto some red cardstock from Michaels. And then I'm taking Recollections little tiny green brads here that I'm going to use to hold it down. And I don't have a thought bubble, but I wanted to kind of look like it was coming out of her, like she was a, oh, Christmas tree, which is the sentiment. We had a fake tree when me and my husband first got married, and it was dangerous, very sharp, and every year we put it up, we'd come out, just our arms all scratched up, and we'd just look at it and go, oh, tree. And so that's, again, this image, that's what, as soon as I saw Amy R. sentiment, that's exactly what I thought, went with the image, got it, it's fantastic. The holly, again, Mary Moffat's Paper Smooches, and I just put it in each corner, and I colored it with my G16 and G19 for the green and the R29 for the berries. I wanted the inside of the card to be super simple, but as you can see, I dropped the ink pad on the card and decided that, you know what, I can fix it. So I used some of the pattern paper that was on the front, trimmed it down, and did it on the edges. Although now I kind of wish I had gone with the tree as opposed to the presents, but I still think it looks okay. And there's still plenty of room to write a personal greeting if you wanted. I just have now learned that I can't keep my ink pad next to my cards. Just stupid slip up is all that was. And I felt really silly, but again, the front of the card looked so good, and I'd already had the holly down, I just wasn't going to worry about it. So I just took my Wink of Stella and went over just a few of the presents just to give them a little bit of glitter. And that was it for the card. I do go over her eyes, again with just a little bit of the clear to give it a little more, and then I go over everything with my glossy accents. Her eyes, her lips, the light bulbs, and even the bows and the candy cane on the tree, as well as the holly berries inside. Just to give just a little more realistic look. Here I kind of goofed and a lot of it came out, so there's a little bit on her hair now, but you really can't tell. But that was it. So thanks for joining me. Oh, sorry, the pattern paper that I used here, both the green and the presents, is from American Crafts Merry Mint 6x6 paper pad. I knew I'd forgot something. So, okay, now, sorry guys, that's it for this card. Thanks for joining me. Look for my next holiday Christmas card, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye now.